Welcome back. Last time we planted some wheat, cleared out the yard, built a lumber yard, built a juice squeezer. Let's check how everything's going. The juice factory produced a whole lot of juice. Got a ton of vegetables and fruit as well. We'll just need to fill up on seeds and fertilizer again. Got 4 boxes of apples as well. Got quite a bit of weeds in the wheat fields. Oh wow, the lumber yard produced a whole lot of products, but selling them off brings some new challenges. I won't be able to lift these heavy beams with just bare hands. I ran back to the yard, hopped into my Neva, attached a trailer, and loaded all the apple juice and apples onto it. Put some straps on. Took it to the store.
Man, the swamp is looking quite nice in the spring. The water level is going down a bit as well. It's quite a pleasant place to live.
We got $58,000 for all of it. While at the shop, I also checked the catalog to see if we can afford any machinery that can lift those heavy wooden beams from our factory. But unfortunately, all the wheel loaders were out of our price range. The cheapest one goes for almost $200,000. And skid steers I think will be too small to lift those pref walls. But forklifts, they should work perfectly. We got 2 options, an electric one for $55,000 and a diesel one for $79,000. I decided to go with the diesel one, as electricity and swamps don't go too well together. I also put double front wheels for some extra friction. In total, it cost us $80,500. I went back home with the Lada. Then I had to run back to the shop on foot to bring back the forklift. It was lifting pallets filled with vegetables like it was nothing. At first, it was a struggle to load all the pallets to this tiny trailer, but after I got used to it, I was lifting 6 pallets at a time. I managed to fit 11 pallets into this tiny trailer. I put some straps on and went to try and sell it. Took it slow and steady though, driving at only 11 kilometers per hour, as it wasn't very stable. But I made it. Got $17,434. I don't want to repeat this journey a second time though. The risk of tipping over is too high. I went inside the shop to try and negotiate a deal for some rental. I've got an offer to rent the lizard truck again for just $3,213. But I also needed a trailer, so that cost an additional $1,096. In total, for just over $4,000, we got a truck and a trailer. I entered the truck, attached the trailer, and made my way back to the farm, carefully parked the truck, and started loading. Managed to fit everything into just one load, put some straps on, got $41,987 for all of them. Then, it was time to load all the wood. I started off by loading the biggest stuff. Just 4 pallets of prefab walls took up the whole trailer, so I had to make a second trip. Prefab walls sold for $57,211, and the rest of the products brought us another $136,299. I gave back the truck and the trailer and began investing the money. First, I sold my Lada and bought a nice new Toyota Land Cruiser with 315 horsepower. I also put some nice mud wheels. That cost $3,420 extra. All in all, it cost us $45,470. I also needed a new tractor. The old one is just too weak to do any of the major jobs. They had a discount going on for the John Deere 5M series, which was priced at $77,500. But after all the extras came out to $100,150, I also bought the cheapest new sprayer for $30,500, a 900 kilograms weight for $1,550, a pallet of herbicide for $2,400, 4 pallets of seeds for $5,040, and 4 pallets of fertilizer for $7,680. After everything, I was left with $65,244.
Man, this thing is beautiful. The Land Rover looks nice too, but this is the real beauty. Everything is so new and fresh.
I turned it on for the first time. Attached the weight, attached the sprayer, loaded it full of herbicide, and went back home. But while at the store, I forgot to ask the clerk to put the slim tires on for spraying. I tried backing up into my workshop with the sprayer attached, but it was too tall. I had to detach it. Carefully backed up the Johnny into the shed. Slim tires cost us an additional $1,000, but we can change them in the future for free. I once again reattached my sprayer and went out to try spraying. The tractor was equipped with GPS, which made spraying a breeze. I could go to sleep while it's driving itself. It took about 5 minutes to spray both fields. I parked the tractor and ran back to the store to get my Land Cruiser. To my surprise, the workers loaded up all the pallets for me. I just put some straps on and was on my way. Carefully loaded all the seeds and fertilizer to the garden. Unloaded the herbicide, put it out of the sunlight, parked the forklift, parked the truck, and got to thinking. I still got all of those logs laying in the cleared swamp. I should do something with them. I got into my Johnny, attached a winch, and went to the swamp to see if he will be able to pull the logs. I took the cable, attached it onto the tree. The weight was a breeze for the almighty John Deere. But we can make it even better. I made my way back to the yard, backed into my workshop, and put double wheels in the back. I was able to pull 2 full trees at the same time. In no time at all, the swamp was clear of logs. Then came the expensive part, leveling the whole land. Even though leveling mud is not that expensive, it still cost us over $60,000. We got just $1,605 left, and because of that, we will have to use the old rusty cultivator to work the land. Even though the Johnny can pull a whole lot bigger, it feels like a huge waste of fuel, to be fair. By the time I finished cultivating, it was completely dark. But I really wanted to plant corn. Planting them in May gives a huge risk of them rotting in the autumn. So I made my way back to the yard, detached the cultivator, attached the seeder, loaded it up with seed and fertilizer, and went out to plant some corn.
Wait a second. I got a seeder, and I need a freaking planter to plant corn.
I made my way back to the farm and went to sleep. I started off the new day by transporting the apples to the juice factory, unloaded the seeds and fertilizer from the Land Cruiser, and went to the shop to check how much a planter cost. A good size, 11 rows, 5 meters wide, requiring 110 horsepower, is priced at $30,000. Maybe I can afford it if I sell all the production. I made my way back, loaded up the vegetables, sold it for $15,000, loaded up all the wood, sold it for $28,000, taking my total balance to $44,942. I bought the planter for $31,800, then spent $945 on seeds and $1,440 on fertilizer, loaded up the seeds and the fertilizer, and made my way back to the farm. But before we start planting, we should split the land into smaller pieces. First, I expanded the road, then expanded the lumberyard a little bit, and started making some outlines. I've made some nice square fields and started planting some corn. I've planted 2 fields of corn, one massive one of soybeans, and I planted this weird-shaped one with grass. But after all that work, I had nothing to do. I wandered from one side of the farm to the other, cleaned up some seeds that were laying around, parked the equipment nicely, but eventually got bored, and decided to go explore the swamps, hopped into the Land Rover, and just went. I didn't find anything at first, but then
What just happened? A lake? In the swamps? Where did this thing come from? There goes our Land Cruiser, I guess. Let's just swim to this rock. It's so massive. Seriously, how will I get the car out?
I swam back to the shore. The whole lake was covered in these thick bushes. I made my way through them and ran home, picked up my chainsaw and a chair, ran back, cleared a small path to the lake, bought some fishing rods, put my chair down, and started fishing. Spent 2 days out here and caught absolutely nothing. I packed it all up and ran back home. All the wheat is ready for harvest. But first, I transported all the apples to the juicery, got into my John Deere, carefully backed into the workshop, removed the double tires, attached this totally not too small trailer, but that's all we got for now. Loaded it full of vegetables, and went to sell it. Got $18,554 for the first load, $19,374 for the second, $17,491 for the third, and $60,000 for the fourth. Went to the shop to find some kind of combine. Got this beautiful Massey Ferguson for just $56,240. I also spent $9,800 on a 5.8 meter header and $16,500 on a trailer. Got into the combine, attached the header, and started driving back. The dealer also offered to help drive my tractor to the farm for me. I unfolded the combine and started the harvest. The yields were phenomenal, coming at about 5,000 liters per hectare, which is insane.
I got 6,189 liters from just this side alone. We'll probably net another 15,000 liters from the other one. We got a full trailer and a full bunker. Need to build a storage system.
I opened a catalog, but all the modern systems were insanely expensive. $80,000, $117,000, $125,000, $147,000. But I kept looking until I found this simple silo that stores 30,000 liters of grain with a simple design, a small loading hatch, an engine, a silo itself, and a small unloading conveyor with a small engine. With the foundation, it cost us $12,002 and a few hundred to pour some asphalt around. I slowly backed up the trailer to the loading bay, opened the unloading hatch, and poured it all in. Then unloaded the combine and finished the harvest. Unloaded the last grain into the trailer, parked the combine, loaded the wheat into the silos. In total, we got 19,871 liters of wheat, about 66% of the silo's capacity. Got back into the Johnny, parked the trailer, but soon after I ran into a problem.
The yard is getting too crowded with all the machinery. I can barely drive around. We got stuff parked around in every corner. Thinking maybe I should build some new sheds.
I decided to build a new shed, but first we need to cut down all of these trees. I moved the cedars out of the way, took my chainsaw, and began cutting. Removed all the branches, chopped into smaller pieces, loaded them up onto the trailer, and sold them off. I would have taken it to the factory, but with all those branches, they're no good for making planks. All that was left was this massive oak. Couldn't make myself cut it. It's just too beautiful. Started shopping for a shed. Some of them were too small, some too large, some insanely expensive, until I found this for $18,000. Fits perfectly. I had to spend about $1,000 to level out the land. Not only did it fit the cedars and the spreader, but also the combine, the trailer, and even the forklift. The yard once again looked nice and clean. But enough gibberish, time to get back to work. I hopped into the Johnny and went to the shop. Bought the cheapest round baler, which came out to be $12,550, attached it, and went home. Made exactly 13 bales, but it needs to dry a little bit before it can be sold. In the meantime, I parked the baler, drove the John Deere into the workshop, and swapped the tires for the slim ones. Attached the sprayer, loaded it full of herbicide. Shouldn't take long to spray all the fields with this massive sprayer. I unfolded it and began spraying. It took about 20 minutes to do all 3 fields, and I was left with just 228 liters of herbicide. We'll need to buy some more soon. I parked the tractor and got to thinking. You see, I've got a lot of free time. It's 2 months before I need to plant some new crops or harvest the corn. The garden is growing. The factory is churning out production. I decided to expand my farm a little bit, but go in the opposite direction from the last time. Clear as much of this land as possible before September comes. I ran into the workshop, picked up the chainsaw, and began cutting. Managed to clear this whole lot, all the way from the farm to the shop. Hundreds of trees on the ground. But now, before we start working on all the wood, we have some more urgent things to take care of. I ran back to the yard, transported all the apples to the juicery, inspected the garden. We'll need some seeds and fertilizer soon, but that can wait. I made my way to the fields. The soybeans were growing just fine. The corn were already taller than me. Just a couple more days before we can harvest. But they seem to need some fertilizer. Not ideal to fertilize them at this stage, but we'll have to work. But first we need to buy some liquid fertilizer, and for that we need some extra money. I hopped into the tractor, attached the big trailer, carefully backed into the workshop, removed the sides, and started loading all the vegetables and juice. It's so weird driving to the shop without all the trees around us. All the vegetables sold for $39,563. Loaded in the prefab walls next, which sold for $30,000. And wood got us another $54,691. We should buy some more supplies, so we wouldn't need to come back so often. Bought 4 tanks of liquid fertilizer, 4 of herbicide, 4 of seeds, 4 of solid fertilizer, and 8 pallets of lime. In total, we spent almost $40,000 on supplies. Unloaded it all in the middle of the yard for now. Need to build a shed for it all, but have no time now. Quickly attached the sprayer, loaded it full of liquid fertilizer, and went out to the fields, unfolded the sprayer, and began spraying. For soybeans it worked all right, but corn. I raised the sprayer to the max, and even then I was hitting the tops a little bit.
Without GPS, this would be impossible. I can't see shit. Hopefully I'm not just destroying the crops. We'll see soon, I suppose.
I parked the tractor, got into the workshop, put double wheels on the Johnny, attached the seeder, loaded it with seed and fertilizer, carefully maneuvered around all the pallets, and went out to plant some wheat. But I forgot something. The fields are still full of bales, and I have no way of loading them. I quickly opened the catalog and worked out a deal for this skid steer, $35,000 with delivery included, plus $600 for the bale spear. I went for a quick toilet break, and when I came out, it was already in my yard. I turned it on and immediately started working. Just put the bales on the road for now. We'll move them later. The whole road got covered by bales, but we are finally able to plant.
Last few bits. Can finally start sorting out this pallet situation. I need to decide on where to build the new shed. The yard is full though. Not sure. Here maybe? But then I need to rework this fence too. But I got nowhere else to put it.
I leveled the field, spent $35,257 on this massive shed, another few grand on some shelves, and a few $100s on some concrete around.
Wow, this thing is massive. We even got some lights. This should be enough storage for all the pallets.
I ran to the lumber yard, hopped into the forklift, and began transporting everything to the shed. It took a good couple of hours, but everything looks nice and clean now. Moved the bales into the big shed for now too. Can finally drive around, but I have one more thing to take care of. The lumber yard will take too long to treat all of these new logs we got. So I spent $10,500 on a second production line, and after everything was said and done, I went back to the wild swamps to cut all the logs into smaller pieces for easier transportation. If you watched till now, leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment on what you want to see next. Farewell.